Welcome to the Mark Silber Show, Advancing Your Photography, where we bring you tips from remarkable photographers about how to take photographs you love. We're here in New York City with our guest Baldomero Fernandez, an extraordinary portrait, fashion, and film photographer. His images have been on the cover of Life magazine, in The New Yorker, and his work has consistently appeared in American photography annuals for the last decade. He's received a host of awards, including MTV's, for his award-winning PSA. You'll recognize many celebrities in his images. His list of accomplishments goes on and on. Baldomero, thanks for inviting us to your studio. It's really great to have you on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, can you tell me about your style of photography and the type of work you really love to do?
For the most part, the work I really love to do is work that has a definite mood and feel and tells a story, has some sort of narrative, no matter how sort of simple it is or obvious, but that maybe brings out a story for the viewer.
And what would you say your biggest passion is when it comes to photography?
It relates to that, just having a story behind everything. Even if it's a landscape, you can read into it and make up your own story. Even if it's sort of something that evokes a story, I guess.
How do you do that? How do you get a story out of one?
If I could know the answer to that question, to be rich, I think. I don't know. A lot of it's instinctual. I think you just see something and. It just speaks to you and maybe starts a story, and you sort of photograph it and keep shooting it till something works.
Can you walk us through kind of a step-by-step of how you get a great shot?
For me, usually it starts with finding the subject, whatever the subject is. If it's a person, finding a place, a location that will help sort of bring the subject out, give it a story, all these things sort of put together and keep adding to it. If it's a location itself that I'm shooting, the time of day, it all has to do with the staging of the photograph, even if it's a found, something you walk upon or whatnot. It's all about the staging of it and sort of how you present it.
What would a viewer learn in terms of their own portraiture? What kinds of tips might you give them?
Just to be really deliberate about what they do in portraiture, I think, for the most part. For me, for my personal style, I think portraiture is something that is really sort of deliberate, and you set it up, and even if it feels and looks very natural and not thought out, it's all very deliberate. Everything placed in a certain way, framed a certain way, lit a certain way, or not lit a certain way to get that mood. But you want it to feel effortless, I think.
Yeah.
Even though you've put in quite a bit of work into it.
And how do you draw the kinds of emotions that you're looking for from your subjects?
Usually a big part of that is the staging and the lighting. You put them in a mood and in a scene, and there's a lot of information there that sort of puts them in a mood that I want. I tend not to give a lot of direction either, unless someone's feeling really stiff, in which case you try and relax them or whatnot. But for the most part, the environment sort of brings out a lot in the model.
Gotcha. Okay, now as far as what's under the hood in your camera, what's the importance of the card?
Card these days is everything. It used to be, you had a range of films you used to choose from, and if you wanted this look, you'd use this film, this developer, or what.
Right.
But now the card is all about security. Number one, feeling that your card's not going to go down in the middle of a shoot, or you're going to lose all your information. It seems like cards are just big. You can get a big card easily and cheap.
Yeah.
But speed's a huge thing now, especially downloading, and while you're shooting, nothing more frustrating than being in the moment and trying to shoot and your card's buffering or it's slow or whatnot.
Right.
Cars will be cars, and they're like any piece of equipment will go down. But I've never had a SanDisk card go down.
What are some tips for getting good lighting?
I think No matter what you're lighting, just to make it feel natural and not contrived, make it look simple, even though you might have 15 lights up, making the light that you've set up look like it's very simple and effortless and natural at the same time, even if it's a fluorescent lit shot, in an alley in Japan or something. There's a look to that, and making that look natural is really important. So just trying not, I guess my tip would be just to make things look easy and natural and not forced.
And so keep the lighting simple.
I say generally keep the lighting simple, yeah. Using one light really helps, and I've done a lot of shoots where I have just one light source. But even when I'm using a lot of lights, I try and make it look like there's only one light.
So, Baldomero, I really love that concept of telling a story. Do you plan it out ahead of time, or how do you approach that?
Usually I do plan it out ahead of time. Every once in a while you just walk upon a scene and the story's there, and you have the luck of being there at the right time, and you just shoot it. Yeah. But usually I do plan it out ahead of time, and I've just recently started writing to try and sort of plan these things out and actually have a story in my head I want to tell, and go out and look for it or set it up. But I almost always plan it out ahead of time.
And what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome as a photographer?
Actually, not staying focused sometimes is the hardest challenge. I have a lot of interest in different things, different genres and stuff, and sometimes it's easy to kind of lose your way and go off into a tangent that, it's not really your style or what you see. Sometimes you're just interested in something for a day, and you go out and you lose your focus on what you really should be shooting or whatnot. And sometimes I find my biggest sort of challenge is staying on task.
And what brings you back?
Just looking at my photographs and editing out those things that I sort of get sidetracked on. I would say 90% of what an artist does for the most part is like crap. So it's just like editing out and not falling in love with my work and really being objective, I guess. And staying focused as to what it is I really do best and what I like to do.
Baldomero, thanks for joining us on the show and for giving us an inside look into your world.
Thank you.
Be sure to subscribe to our blog now to stay updated on my show, and we'll give you tips and insight to keep advancing your photography. Also, check out our guests' website for a closer look at their work. Tune in to our next episode of Advancing Your Photography for an inside look at another photographer's world. Until then, this is Mark Silber reminding you to get out and capture your own images of life.